On the night of the 3rd of June 1989, the Chinese army moved in on protesters in Tiananmen Square, violently crushing the pro-democracy uprising that had been brewing for a month and a half. 5 days after the crackdown, Prime Minister Bob Hawke gave one of the most memorable speeches of his political career. 6 paragraphs into a pre-prepared speech, Hawke paused and reached for a second document marked classified.
Let me read an extract. Report to us.
What he was about to read had not been reported in the media anywhere in the world.
They had orders that nobody in the square be spared, and children and young girls were slaughtered as mercilessly as the many wounded soldiers from other units there. Anti-personnel carriers and tanks then ran backwards and forwards over the bodies of the slain until they were reduced to pulp.
I think those tears and what it meant for those events, I don't think can ever really be forgotten by anyone, even with half an eye on Australian politics at that time.
For the first time, the ABC can reveal the document Prime Minister Hawke read from that day. It's a previously undisclosed Australian diplomatic cable obtained from the National Archive. The cable describes soldiers of the 27th Group Army massacring students, as well as civilians who were just watching proceedings from their apartments. It says soldiers were shooting each other if they refused to fire on the students, and includes an estimate that at least 10,000 people had been killed during the event. Bob Hawke received the cable 3 days after the massacre and thought it meant his dreams of democratisation in China and a strong Australia-China relationship were over.
The Tiananmen Square cable brought that all crashing down. He was devastated when he read most particularly about the tanks.
He was devastated for basically for 2 reasons. One was the horrendous reports of the loss of life, but the other very important thing was he saw it would be a disaster for China.
Hawke was so horrified by what he read, he decided to share it with the nation.
It would be a brave person to say to Bob, take it easy, calm down. He didn't want to calm down. He was so horrified that he wanted to convey that horror to the world.
Blanche Dalpaget says that Prime Minister Hawke later realised the details of the cable he'd read on national TV were false.
He subsequently received another cable from the embassy retracting some of the claims in the first cable, specifically that tanks had run backwards and forwards over people, squashing them into the ground, and that the numbers killed was 10,000.
By this stage, Hawke had already read the speech and announced that 40,000 Chinese students who were in Australia at the time could stay, without fear of being forced to return home.
The sight of him crying for them had a great emotional effect on the Australian Chinese community and many Chinese in China.
The Chinese Australian community never forgot it. So much so that the day after, the morning in fact, after Bob passed away, there was a knock on the door at his home at Northbridge. My partner answered the door thinking it might be a family member or perhaps someone from the media, and it was a man who had been a student at that time and brought flowers and but sent the most heartfelt letter saying, "You have given us a beautiful life. Thank you, Bob. We love you."
Tiananmen dashed Hawke's hopes for what China might become. But unlike today, China did not attempt to punish Australia for criticising them.
If that kind of criticism was meted out today, as we have seen, in criticism over Chinese policies in Xinjiang or Tibet or sabre-rattling over Taiwan, the reaction from the Chinese government is very swift, and it's now taking the form of economic punishment. of Australia. So there is a world of difference between the China that we were dealing with back in the late 1980s and the China of today.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.